Okay, welcome back to Make Something Happen number 36. Such a large number of Make Something Happens. Okay, this one is building on the previous one. In fact, this whole sequence is really taking our little silly application at the start and then progressively adding things to it. So the starting point is actually the end of the previous Make Something Happen, where all we had, if you remember, the code's in front of us. Let's have a look. It was a very, very simple application that did two things. It handled a route for index.html and another one for extra.html. So we effectively had, to the browser, they look like web pages, but we know that they have a secret, which is that inside them, all that's happening is that they're running some JavaScript code that's triggered when the pages are hit by the browser. So the server gets a request and the server running inside the Express framework goes, oh, okie dokie, I'll find the piece of JavaScript which deals with that. Then the response.send function method call sends a message back, and we had hello and we had hello there, and everything in the garden was lovely. So I'll just close that off and we'll go back to our code and we'll take a look at what's going to happen next, because the first thing we have to do is we have to add another library to our application, because we're going to be using the EJS. I have a problem with EJS, which is completely personal, which is that I remember PostScript files called EPS from about 20-30 years ago. So I always call them EPS because I'm very old, but you won't have that problem because you're almost certainly not as old as me. But if I say EPS, I mean EJS. It's just the way my brain seems to have got hardwired in a not very useful way. But enough of my problems. Let's just do this. Now we type npm. We've done this before. This says run the Node Package Manager program, please. And what I want you to do is install, and we want to install EJS because that's what's correct. And we've installed Express. Now we're installing EJS. And what you will do is your applications will become a collection of pre-built components, which we're installing now, and also bits you've written that make use of them. And this is how applications are built. If we watch carefully what's going to happen now, we've installed EJS, and watch what's happening here. We've got some changes have come in because two of our files have changed. One of them is package. If we have a look there, we'll find that now we have two dependencies. We're dependent on EJS and also Express. And as we go through building this application, we may well be adding more libraries to add more and more behaviors. So that's in there now. So we can actually make use of that in our programs. But I want to use some new versions of these files. So what I will do is I will right click there, and that didn't work. I'll right click here, and I'll say reveal in File Explorer, because that's going to show us the folder which contains the project I am presently working on. Here it is, Tiny Survey. Now, the actual instructions in the book, you've all bought the book. Oh, great! I can buy some new shoes. The actual instructions talk about copying the files across, so we'll just do that. I'll find my way to where my files are. They're in Chapter 6. And they're in application build. Here we are. And I'll just throw you over to the side, and then I'll go get the other one. And this is the one we want to actually work on. No, hang on. This is not going well. Why can't I press the right buttons? Oh dear. Yes, the mouse is too big. That's my theory. Mouse point. Right, so we've got, this is my source one here. Oh, and I'm going to go up from here and just I think I have contrived to open two folders in the wrong place. Yes, I have. Excuse me one moment while I turn my brain back on. And what I really want to do is go off to the Tiny Survey application and fetch the files. No, they should be in here in number 4. I think I've stumbled upon a bugette. A bugette being a thing which is a bug that as a missing file in my application. There should be a folder in here that contains what I'm looking for, and it turns out that there isn't, which is mildly disconcerting. I'll have to go and sort that out. So I'll be back in a second, and when I do, that file will have mysteriously reappeared. And we're back. One of the principles by which I have decided to live, and it's been quite a while since I decided this, I should have done it earlier, is that the perfect is the enemy of the good. So I try never to re-record my broadcast, because when I was spending my time in front of students lecturing, I never got to redo those. So why would I redo this? And things used to go wrong in my lectures occasionally, and the students used to love it. Nothing was more amusing than watch Rob figure out what it was that wasn't working that made his demonstration look silly. And I'll tell you something else too, for free. You learn more from the things that go wrong than the things that work. I'd put the files in the wrong folder. That my bad, I apologize, but now we are actually in business, and the folder I really want is here now, and it'll be there when you look when you're doing this yourself. And the folder that we want is this prototype one here, and the idea is I've got some files in here. I've got a tiny survey and a folder called views, and I want to put that into my application. So if I open this guy, reveal in File Explorer, this is my present app, and it contains my git ignore, all those bits and pieces, my git folder and whatnot. If I go back to here, this is what I want to put in there. So now I'm going to drag across. Well, I'll drag tiny survey across and drop it. No, I'll copy it. I'll hold down control and I'll drag, because that way I'll still have it in the. I'll do that, and it'll go. You want to overwrite? I say, yeah, replace it. I don't care. I want the new one. And the same is, and then I'll drag the views, which are the bits which are interesting for other, and I didn't drag that one. Oh, I didn't copy that one. I'll copy it back again. Oh, there you go. So everything's where it was before. So now, after all that, and I now have 2 extra grey hairs. Yes, at least. Oh dear, not that you can tell. So we now have 2 changes. We have a tiny survey, which is different. The previous one just sent back those 2 index and the other one responses to their roots. These are a little bit more complicated, of which more in a second. And we also have a views folder. Let's have a look in there, because I think if I sneak back to what the begin to code thing actually does, we start having a look at these now. So let's do all this. Let's start with it. Let's have a look at the views folder. The views folder contains a bunch of EJS files. Each of these now, if you wind back time to what we were doing when we started this, we made 4 prototype pages, which were going to be the pages of our application, and we figured out what each page would do, and we figured out how you move from one page to the other. Fine, done that. These are the EJS versions of those pages. If I drift into Visual Studio Code, we'll find that it's got a few changes. There's 7 changes. If I go into Tiny Survey, it now has similar looking text, but doing a slightly different thing. Now we know about the roots. These are the things that are providing a particular piece of JavaScript to run when a particular root is hit. So if I hit index.html, it renders index.ejs. If I hit enter options.html, it renders this file. So we're kind of using these things as templates, and they've got the extension EJS because they're subtly different from HTML. Let's have a look. Index.ejs is this. Actually, it looks remarkably similar. Remarkably similar. In the next part of the course, we'll figure out how we actually really use the power of templates. But if we actually just fire this up now, we'll find that we have got a kind of working prototype, but now being served by Express server. So I'll get it running. I'll keep on going. That's it. Run the server. Doodly-doo. Up she comes. Now go back into here and refresh go back to the index page and do a refresh. And I've got my tiny survey page. So I can call it, I don't know, Rob's Pizza seems quite popular. I can open it, and then I get my second page, which is enter options, and then I can press start, and I can do a vote. Can I do a vote, please? Yes, I can. I can vote for pepperoni, because I always vote for pepperoni, and click send. And now I get back to my counts pages. Now all these pages are being served by our little program running in here. And so if we look inside the code, we can see that each of them is being served out. So what we now have, this is like a stepping stone. This is not how we're going to make it. This is actually like a stepping stone that takes us on the route. And what I want you to understand is that we now have, if you like, our own little server with the actual extra benefit that we can run program code in here as well. And in the next part of the demo, I'm going to show you some stuff that will really show you some interesting bits and pieces. But for now, this makes something happen once I found the files. And this is why I'm making the videos, because nothing like no better way of finding bugs and trying to actually do the whole thing all the way to the end. When you find it, you'll find that yes, you can effectively use Express as your server, serving out these pages. And what we will now do is we'll add behaviors into these pages that will let them generate the chunks of stuff that needs to be different each time the user does a different survey. That's all in the next Make Something Happen, which is going to be kind of fun. I'm going to go have a gentle lie down now, think about my place in the universe. But thank you for taking part, and see you in the next one.